Hey there, Bibben. It's, as Drew says, your favorite vlogger. Uh, Not really sure what that is, so I think I could Google it, but I'm pretty sure it's a video thing. So, yep. All right, here we go. Week 15, semifinal review. Start it right off with the marquee matchup. Number one overall versus the highest scoring team. Devin versus Rich. They played in the regular season. Devin caught Rich on a bad week. Um, this week he didn't. 137 to 131, and the most fun I had watching a fantasy matchup that wasn't my own in a long time. So let's go down through, talk about the studs. Um, for Devin's team, there was 3 players on his team total that didn't score in double-digit points. So here's the guys that did. Russell Wilson, 23. Aaron Jones, 17. DeAndre Hopkins, 12. Mark Andrews, 11. Tyler Lockett, 18. Nick Chubb, 21. Daniil Hunter's 12.5. Bobby Wagner, 10.5. Zane Gonzalez's kicker had 8. And then his stinkers were Landon Collins with only 4. And Randall Cobb with 0.3. So talking to Devin, he was toying between Curtis Samuel and Randall Cobb. He picked Cobb, was the wrong choice, but Samuel was also a double digits. So just a total solid. I mean, Chubb was a stud, Lockett was a stud, and Aaron Jones was a stud, but totally solid all the way around. And on the other side, you got Rich. He put up 131 points. He had one big issue, which was the Dalvin Cook injury. This game could have been a lot closer, but he had Baker Mayfield throw some garbage time touchdowns to get 20 points. Travis Kelce, 14 with no touchdowns. Mark Ingram, 23. Joe Mixon, 16 against New England. Josh Jacobs, 11 against Jacksonville. His D-line, 10. Darius Leonard, 9. Harrison Smith, 10.5. So, 29.5 out of his defense. Really good day. Normally 131 wins it for you. I think only twice this year 130 plus lost a game. So just a great matchup. I mean, both teams deserve to win, but only one person can win, and that was Devin. So he's moving on to face the winner of our second semifinal. The match was Graham versus Matt, and in this one, there was some real studs. Graham's big players scored big points for him. He won this one 120 to 96, so a pretty handy win. But it was close going into Monday night, and then the Saints went off. So he had Carson Wentz again, late touchdown, saved his day, 26.5. Christian McCaffrey, 29.5. The guy's 2 players in one. Like, Graham's been top of the league ever since he drafted Christian McCaffrey at number 4 overall a couple years ago. Who went in front of him? I'd have to look back. I know Dalvin Cook for one, but man, what a good draft pick. Michael Thomas, 18.8. Michael Thomas is on the verge of setting a record. Waiver wire stud who I talked about last week on the waiver wire point. Adrian Peterson, 15 points against Philly, and then Luke Kitchley, a cast off of my team, 12.5 points. So not the consistency Devin's team showed, but when you got guys like Christian McCaffrey putting up 30 points almost every week, impressive. Matty Ice's team had a couple, surprising results, I'll say. Greg Zerline only getting 1 point against Dallas. That's shocking. Julian Edelman, worst game I think Han told me is his worst game as a pro, 2 catches for 9 yards or something like that. A total of 10.5 from his defense really wasn't helpful. Graham got 21 out of his. So, I mean, there was a lot of stinkers around this game, but he had some studs as well. Dak Prescott, another good game, 30 points. You'd think more, but two runners from Dallas had a ton of points. So Tyreek Hill, 20 points, outscored Michael Thomas. Really good there. George Kittle, just like Travis Kelce, over 14 points. And I don't think either of them scored a touchdown. Chris Godwin, 12.1. Keenan Allen, 10. So there were good points around here. Just not the consistency the other game had. So, if I'm looking at it, the most, what I can say, Graham versus Devin coming up. Two Eagles fans heading off, going head to head to win the championship. One of them might go back to back. So impressive. Only two more matchups to review, but I will say this: Devin and Graham, the 1 and 2 seed, first time in league history the 1 and 2 seed have played in the playoffs, or in the finals. So the 1 has made it to the championship. The 2 has made it to the championship, but never had they played off. So this is a first time for our league. First time with a shot at a repeat. I didn't mention it, but I posted it. Devin set the record for most points or most wins in a season with 13. He's looking to put that record basically to keep it unless somebody goes undefeated. Another couple things about the top division. So this was the points from the top division this week. You had Devin at 137, Rich at 131, Graham at 120. Not playing anybody, but impressively, Drew at 157 after Lamar's huge start. And then he just continued it. Julio Jones went off. Todd Gurley had a terrible yards day, a great touchdown day. Drew had tons of good players. Deke also in the top half, 129, I think. And then Matty Ice at 96. So Matty Ice had the downgrade, but you think about that, like those points are just impressive from the top half of the league. And then down to the bottom, you had the 120. I had 120. Danny had 90. Had 100. Mike Yip and Jason Calder had 93. Then you think about, I think Han had under 100. It might have been close. And I gave Todd Gurley's points to Drew, but Gurley's on Han's team. But sorry about that. So Han might have been over 100, but just total teardrop in the two halves. All right, let's get to the loser division. Playing off. Let's go. We'll go quickly through my matchup, and then I want to talk about Calder's versus Yips for a little bit. So, in my matchup, 120 for me versus 100 for Danny. Studs for Danny. Drew Brees. Danny and I were texting back and forth and thought, I wonder what would have happened in the league had he and I not traded. Had I not traded Russell Wilson, or Drew Brees to him, and Russell Wilson came to me. Because I used Russell Wilson to win the league the following year. But Drew Brees has just been a stud since. He had one down year. I wanted to trade him away. And since then, he's perked it back up. Most touchdown passes in NFL history if you don't count the playoffs. If you count the playoffs, Tom Brady's crushing everybody. Cooper Kupp saved his day with a touchdown in the last minute. 10 points for Cooper Kupp. Higbee, 11 points. Robert Woods came back to earth big time. Dud performance for him. Stephon Diggs, 8. Will Fuller, 6. Interesting choice by Danny to bench James Conner for Will Fuller. It didn't work, but it wouldn't have mattered. Conner had 13 on Danny's bench. Looking over at my side, I had 120, so I had one. Melvin Gordon decided to throw down a huge stinker, 1.4 points, 2 fumbles. I think if I added them all up, unless somebody's rostering Daniel Jones right now, I might just crush everybody in fumbles. Watson, not a great day, 18 points, but still, better than nothing. Darren Waller, another huge tight end day, 12.2 points, no touchdowns. So Devontae Parker, huge day, 2 touchdowns, 19.2. Devontae Parker's turned into a stud. So I saw this today or heard this today. Devontae Parker turned into a stud. Ryan Tannehill turned into a stud. Kenyon Drake turned into a stud. Le'Veon Bell turned into garbage. What is the common feature on that? It's Adam Gase. He's a terrible coach. Stud Chris Carson, 25.7 points, and no one to highest rushing output, I think, of the year. No one to take the ball from him. So, really good day for him. So that was my big guys. This was the only game I've ever been up 60 points going into Monday night, had the other team have 2 players and be worried. When I saw Drew Brees throw that third touchdown in the first half, the one that they called back, I was starting to get worried he was going to put up another 50-point day. But he only did 37. So I'll be moving on to play for first overall, and Danny will be playing for third overall. Now, final game. Jason Calder versus Mike Yip. And this is why you play. You continue to set your lineups. Mike Yip won 93.17 to Jason Calder's 93.06. So 0.11. I don't know if that's the closest game ever in our league, but it sure seems like it would be. Calder forgot to set his lineup. Bo Scarborough, out. Calder had him in. So couldn't check, didn't check, whatever the case may be. I don't think Scarborough was out super duper early. I just know that, when I looked, he had Scarborough and Chark both out in his lineup. He got Chark out there and put John Brown in, which worked out really well, got him 12 points. But, you lost by 0.11. That's 2 yards. 2 yards is all you needed to win that matchup and go play for number 1 overall. You didn't get it. That could be the difference from, Derrick Henry, Melvin Gordon, who else is going to get dropped? Lots of Aaron Jones, lots of good players. Or, it's not going to be terrible. Just not having your pick of the litter. So let's look at the winning team. Mike Yip. And frankly, let's say this. Calder's lucky that Yip decided to bench Kenyon Drake, and I can't see him benching him next week. But so you got stud Patrick Mahomes in the snow, 26 points, 340 and 2 in the snow, real good. AJ Brown, if I was Yip, I might consider keeping him over Thielen next year. AJ Brown, 17.4 points. Mostert, 10.27. The only one he got a rushing touchdown. Darius Slayton, 9 points. You have not a huge day overall with 93 points, but those are some pretty good players, right? His biggest probably disappointment, I would say, would be Leonard Fournette, who's been a stud this year. He only had 7.3 points. Was he the biggest dud? No. But, you expect a little more. The interesting one was Jared Cook. He needed 5.3 yards to win. He got 5.4. Looking at studs on the other side, you got Josh Allen's held his own for fantasy this year. I wouldn't call him a stud this week, but 17.3 points. Buffalo versus New England is going to be an interesting real football game this week. But stud Zeke Elliott, there's the game Devin was waiting for when he used to have Zeke. 117 rush yard, 2 rush TDs. Who else? John Brown, like I said, last minute addition, 12 points. Stinkers, Cole Beasley. It's an interesting one. Only 6 yards for Cole Beasley, so Pittsburgh really kept him in check. So Crowder owner, also probably thinking, geez, maybe I should put Crowder in next week. Well, see what Beasley did in the slot there. Singletary would have had a good day, but he had a fumble. Rudolph with Thielen back went to nothing. So they weren't high scoring these games. The one probably disappointment in this one is you had 38.6 points. Look at Yip's bench, 38.6 Kenyon Drake, 10.5 Terrell Williams, kicker Will Lutz 10, and you look over on the other side and there's Jamison Crowder, 21 points on the bench. So Sometimes you make the right call, sometimes you don't. But looks like it's Yip moving forward. So it's a finals rematch from a few years ago. It was Yip versus me for the final. Now it's Yip versus me for the first overall pick. So that's pretty much it. Some big waiver wire pickups tonight for anybody who's still trying to win. Mike Boone had a great day on the he's on the waiver wire. So if anybody's looking for that number one, could be possible number one running back, if Dalvin Cook's out, and it looks like Madison has been out, or Madison was out last week, he's probably out again this week. You get Mike Boone, you might fall into a league winner if you're Devin or Graham. If you're the rest of us, you might fall into a matchup winner. So just remember, this isn't the preview show. I'll do the preview show later in the week because we don't have games till Saturday, but Saturday football's back. But just remember, your next week, everybody plays in week 16. And if you're not playing for money, you're playing for the higher draft pick. So, who wouldn't want Nick Chubb or Dalvin Cook like this year, right? I mean, those guys spurred Devin and Rich into the playoffs. It could be a thing. So, if you don't care about your final matchup and you don't mind picking one back, don't set your lineup. It's fine. But if you do care, set your lineup, crush that fool, and go forward. Do what Han and I did last year. Made a side wager. I paid him in $10 worth of nickels when he put up the all-time high score against me. Do fun things like that. Derek and Drew playing off again. I mean, there could be a side bet there. And if Drew wins, he gets to pick in front of Derek for the second straight year. You think Derek likes that? They both like the same players. They both like the same team. They both wanted Lamar Jackson this year. But Drew got him. So, anyway, that's it for me on this vlog. Right, Drew? Man, I couldn't feel any older right now. So anyway, signing off for this week. Great job, Devin. Great job, Graham. Recognize some fantasy guys on the message board. Great job, Derek Bulver, for being a good commissioner. A couple of leagues and playing in a final in another league that we're in. So congratulations to him. I'm not sure if he was looking for recognition or not, but great job, Drew. Way to put up 157. You crushed that bye week. Hopefully next week we have a lot of high scores just like we had this week, and everybody brings their A game, and then we'll see who's doing it, who's winning. Devin versus Graham. Eagles fan versus Eagles fan. Eagles fan playing for number one overall. It's a crazy Eagles week. Eagles playing Cowboys. Winner probably wins the division. If the Cowboys win, they do win it. Worst division in the league. But so this week is going to be interesting. So anyway, just remember, if you're anything like me, women don't find you handsome, you play a lot of fantasy.